Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me start with the question on observers. There's 170 organizations that have been accredited to be observers in this election. 18 of them are international organizations. That includes your two specific organizations, which is the SADC mission, as well as the AU mission. They are already in the country. We have had an occasion to brief them, as well as to train them about our electoral process. And as far as we got indication, they are already observing the special votes processes today. So they'll continue to be in the country. I suppose being a media house, your interest is when are they likely to talk to the media? It is certainly a question we cannot respond to as the commission. Two questions that were asked about the MK party. We respond reluctantly. You know, we can't always, when we are in these platforms, be speaking about one political party amongst the 70-odd parties that are contesting this election. One issue of Khumalo being here, the Rock is a public facility created primarily for media houses and contesting political parties. It also welcomes ordinary citizens to visit the Rock as and when. And we control that by day passes and limiting their access within the Rock on such days. For instance, we do have compliance that we need to manage with the number of persons who can be under this roof. If you arrive as an ordinary citizen and we've reached the ceiling, we would not admit you. But if there's space, we will admit you. So his presence here is in relation to that. But we will respond to the party formally as we do correspond with them. The incident in KwaZulu-Natal, the provincial electoral officer had an occasion to meet with the leadership of the party involved in KZN, and they've established their basic rules of engagement around the work that is taking place of elections. However, the incident on its own is still a matter of processing with ourselves as the commission, as well as the police. As to whether there will be criminal charges, we will know in due course. Thank you.
Thank you. The question as it relates to envelopes and ballots, maybe first of all, just to emphasize that all voting stations have adequate provision of ballot papers, envelopes, ballot boxes, ballot booths, stationery, etc. The isolated incidents, or the one or two that has been mentioned, where at 9 o'clock there were no envelopes or ballots, delayed the opening, and they have subsequently opened. So it was late delivery of materials to the voting stations, and voters would not have been turned away. It's just that the voting station would not have opened, and it stands to reason that we can't open a voting station if there are no ballots, and in this case as well with envelopes to observe the double envelope system. But those stations did eventually open. Then there was another question about a voter whose name did not appear on the voter's roll. I think maybe just to correct the statement, for today and tomorrow, the only people that can vote are those who have been approved, who have applied for a special vote, and who have been approved. So they will be on the list. But as Mr. Shaburi mentioned, where you also have multiple applications, we have safeguards built into the application process so that if someone had applied for a special vote, but then subsequently also applied for a Section 24A, meaning to vote on voting day at a different voting station, then that would override and wipe his or her application. So whilst it is possible that in the allegation the person did apply, it is also possible, however, that there was a subsequent application which overrode that specific application. Is that it? Thanks.
The matter related to the denial of rights of voters in Umtata and in voting stations where we have not been able to operate. The national joints are dealing with the matter. We will, at the future briefing, be able to indicate what the status is. But on our part, we will do everything humanly possible to extend the right to those people without placing at risk our own staff. So we will continue to work with the national joints to see whether circumstances permit that stations open tomorrow. Yeah.
There's a question from our online platform. If I may request Baloyi to read it out for us, please.
I believe the questions were answered.
Yeah, they covered.
Yes, they're
okay, I'm happy if they were. I've got two hands. Ntate, do I still owe you? Okay, beautiful. I'm going to take your hand and followed by the gentleman behind you. Right,
Good afternoon. I just have questions from my colleagues. Basically, there was apparently an old age home in Soweto where I think, which is unattended to. So basically, it's a voting station where I think there are old age home people and it's unattended to. So obviously, I'm just going to get the details so that I just don't ask you for something that you may not be aware about. I'm just, because my colleagues have indicated that to me. And the other question would be, there were some protests, I think some violent protests at Orange Farm. So how much have that affected the voting in that area, or you've got it under control? Thanks.
Brian Sokuta from The Citizen. Taking into account that the IEC has for several years in the past conducted elections without much hindrance, would you describe the current challenges as unprecedented?
That's it.
I don't see any other hands. I'm going to allow the team from IEC to respond before we wrap up. We've got two. Tatisha Buri and Tim.
Thanks. I think let's put in the figures so that we get better perspective to evaluate the reported challenges. There are 1.6 million approved special votes at over 22,600 voting stations. We've never been in that territory hitherto. And in any case, however unfortunate the reports are, the reports of difficulties are insignificant in the greater scheme of the challenge that we have to undertake. They represent less than 0.1 of a percentage. But our view is that we should assist every voter who has made the time to apply for the special vote. So the challenges are not comparable to the number of voting stations that are open. The operation in Orange Farm, yes, we have reports, but the confirmation from our provincial office is that they've not impacted on our ability to manage special votes. I'd appreciate the details of the old age home so that we respond factually. And also we must be careful that whether because there's an old age home